Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start our day off well, give us something to think about, and hopefully clean up in our language and behavior, because we are working our way through a small portion of taking the war out of our words. And as I said previously, I've done the whole book here on YEMIG in the past, and it can be found. Good morning, Barb. Welcome. You're the first one here today. It can be found on my YouTube channel under the playlists. There are currently 55, and now there will be 58 segments talking about our language, the English language, and what a warlike language it is, and how we can go a long way toward improving things by editing how we say some things. And so this next section we've looked at. Actually, let me give you the framework, and then we'll do a little breathing, and then we'll jump in as we're waiting for the practical rebels to pop on. So there's three different defensive kinds of reaction: fight, flight, freeze, right? And she's got some different words for those, but we're working our way right now through what the person engaging in that action would find the least satisfying, which would be freeze. Next up the list would be flight, and beyond that would be fight. So we're working our way from least appealing to us to most appealing to us. And interestingly, most of these we engage in without even being aware we're doing it. And if someone points it out to us, it may take a bit for us to even realize that we were doing it, which is why I think it's so helpful to review this. Good morning, Beth. Glad you're here. Hello, hello. So far, everybody is here on Facebook. We'll see if we get some YouTubers. Good morning, Mel. Glad you're here, and we are very happy to have you here. Because again, I think right now in these times, revisiting this stuff is so valuable. Because if it even once during the course of what we're talking about here, you go, "Ooh, I do that." Good, good. You had tornadoes last night. Oh, bummer. Well, hopefully there's not too much damage. The pictures I was seeing coming out of southern Wisconsin were not pretty. And northern Wisconsin, actually just north of us, the water levels are so high. Good morning, Angie. Glad you're here. Wiped out a ball field, wiped out a bridge. I mean, yeah. Well, siren's till 2 a.m. Yeah, you ain't sleeping. And my sister's poor dog was all freaking out. And then my sister's telling me she had to go around the block to the other side of the block to the business where it was her tree who fell on their fence. So they were actually going to have their worker clean up the mess and then see what the cost would be to. Yes. And so the rivers that are typically in the summertime, you can stand in them, you can fish, you can raging, absolutely raging, and taking all kinds of things with them. So yes, be cautious out there. Be cautious. And even if it looks, I'm going to say this one because I can't tell you the number of people I know who have tried this and it hasn't gone well. If there's water moving across the road, do not attempt to drive through it. Do not, do not, do not. I had a friend who almost lost a trailer, a motor, the pull behind live-in trailers to the sweeping water. It wasn't very deep, but boy, can it move things. Roads washed out. Yep. Hi, Nancy. Glad you're here. Welcome. Well, I'm glad everybody here is here and safe at the moment. So let's make good choices, people. Let's make good choices. So we are right now working on the surrender sabotage. So each of those, the fight, flight, and freeze, has two parts, an active part and a passive part. We are working on the freeze active part today. We did some of it yesterday, and now today, so yesterday the part we did was reneging on a commitment, and we talked about maligning and martyrdom and procrastination and carelessness. Today, we're going to talk about sequential contradictory statements and attacking humor. And I have a family member who is the king of attacking humor. So when I read that one, it kind of curls my toes a little bit because I've been on the receiving end. So, and recently. And you know what? I didn't handle it very well. I think I flipped him off, actually. So, things to work on, right? Things to work on. All right, so let's start with some breathing and some tapping. And welcome to those of you who are here who we don't see your name rolling. Glad you're here. You can be stealth. That is absolutely fine with me. Let's get this information out there. Let's talk to people about it. Let's learn some things. Yep, at two brute. You betcha. That's me. All right, tapping and breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. You may have some trauma to let go of. Your nervous system may be geared up from storms last night. Breathe in, breathe out. In fact, let's do the reset button. Side of your hand by your baby finger. It just kind of resets the whole nervous system. Then back to the chest. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Make the exhale a little longer than the inhale. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And now this one at the top, hold. In through the nose, hold, and let it go. That last kind of a breath signals your body you can let go. You can let go, you can recalibrate, you can exhale whatever you're hanging on to. Ratchet down the nervous system, calm things down. So use the tapping whenever. It's very helpful. You can also do tapping. Yeah, well, Wisconsin's in no great shakes either. I mean, we're soggy. Let's put it that way. We are very soggy. And where the rivers are raging, it is very dangerous. So, yeah. All right. So, little butterfly tap. The value here is you're crossing over the midline of the body, and there's bilateral stimulation. Any kind of bilateral stimulation is useful. Those of you who do holosync, that's bilateral stimulation. It's moving from one side to the other. But just to take some conscious effort and time to slow things down. I was listening to a Rebecca Campbell webinar thing yesterday. I think it's a three-day deal. And it's for caregivers, providers, healers, etc. And she's talking about how we need to revamp what we've been doing, that the paradigms we've been using are not working anymore, that her word is deep, that we need much deeper levels of work to move ourselves to a higher level of vibration. So that's really interesting too. We can talk about some of that stuff as we go as well. But great value in jettisoning the stuff that has outlived its usefulness. So you are tired. Yes. Many of us are tired. I feel like I'm slogging through mud lately. We will get through this. We will absolutely get through this. And one of the things, hang on, let me find my notebook here. Nope, that's the wrong notebook. No, it is. That's the right one. One of the things that she's talking about here, and I love this, is she said, this is the transition years, a time between times. This is Rebecca Campbell. It's been decades and we're in the middle of it, but we feel it, right? And she said, there's great value in acknowledging the uncertainty and acknowledging the tiredness. Acknowledge it. She said, the container that we hold needs to be deeper. We need a deeper container and more potent. And then she said, we must slow down to the pace of the body so that true embodiment of the soul can happen. We cannot do this quickly. We're in a corporeal being, and it takes time to catch up. So if we follow just the soul energy, we can, go crazy with that. And it's heading us in the direction we need to go. But if the body isn't coming along for the ride, It's pointless. It's pointless. We must embody this work. Is that going to be comfortable? No, because we are fritzed out, fried out, tired, uncertain, exhausted, irritable. Irritable. Anybody for irritable? Yeah. So we must slow down. And society is calling us AI. How are they touting that? You can do more, you can do it faster, you can do it better. You don't have to do it. The machine can do it. Well, take a breath. The value of unplugging. The value of unplugging. And if you are deluding yourself that you're not as plugged in as you are, let's try a little experiment, shall we? I want you to take your phone and turn it off and put it somewhere for 1 hour. And then I want you to count the number of times. Well, I'll just look that up. I'll just check that. I'll just Google. It's all over us. It's all over us. So we must slow down to the pace of the body. That's why walking in nature is so valuable. That's why taking a vacation is so valuable. She said, people these days are more open to mysticism. That's the word I've been using. I just want to feel, I want them more mystical. I want them magical. That's why J.R.R. Tolkien is all over the place again. That's why, the Harry Potter stuff is so, the magical, the mystical, there's more. Yes, a treadmill that won't stop. Need to slow down and breathe. And here's the deal. If we do not honor ourselves, and our life path by slowing down, the universe will do it for us. And it is not pleasant when the universe has to try to override our do. It will literally sometimes kick us in the ass. You trip off a curb, hit your head on the ground. You have a car accident. You fall down a flight of stairs. We don't want those things. So let us honor that our body is saying we must slow down. Err on the side of feeling lazy. You're not being lazy, but you'll feel like you are. Err on the side of feeling lazy. Since I declared myself semi-retired, it was just this spontaneous thing I did, and it has made a huge difference. Well, I don't have to do that. I'm retired now. I don't have to do that. I'm retired now. Practice, slowing down to the pace of the body so true embodiment of the soul can happen. It must be sustainable. We must be held. Imagine being held by the great mother, the mystery, the divine feminine, the body. There was a line from Marion Woodman, a Jungian analyst, about we walk this life path, this earth, in the cradle of our pelvis. It's the cradle that holds all of us. Divine feminine, where do we give birth? Our pelvis, right? So keep this in mind as we're moving forward, right? Keep this in mind. So back to today's little section on taking the war out of our words, the art of powerful non-defensive communication. We are on the surrender part, which is also would be the freeze part. If you do fight, flight, freeze, surrender. And this is about the active surrender, which is called passive aggressive, surrender sabotage. That's a powerful word, sabotage. And this is when we're not doing this so much with our behavior as we are with our words. So let's see what we get. Take a breath. Let it go. Set the intention that you want to see and hear yourself in here. Where does this resonate for you? Because we can't change anybody else, but we can change ourselves. So, sequential contradictory statements. While the behaviors just described, the malingerer, martyr, procrastinator, and careless performer, usually involve some kind of contradictory message, they usually also include one or more actions that contradict an original statement of commitment. These following types of surrender sabotage involve no commitment. You haven't promised to do anything. The contradiction is strictly verbal. The sabotage, however, is patent and destructive. First one is compliment insult. When we follow a supportive sentence with a subtle or perhaps direct put down, we sabotage. Clara told a woman she met at a professional meeting about her artistically talented son. The woman responded, "How wonderful that he has such gifts. It is so nice that each person has special talents." Clara felt put down by the woman's switch from initial support of her pleasure in her son's ability to an apparent need to remind her that he was no more special than anyone else. Compliment followed by insult. To me, this would be the kind of, well, she's so boisterous. Bless her heart. Uh-huh. Yeah. Or recall the example of Elena's comment to Susan from chapter 1. "You look so beautiful in that dress," followed by, "It's so nice they make better clothes for large women now." Uh-huh. Another commonly used form of contradictory statements occurs in business situations. I will guarantee most of us, as women, have been on the receiving end of these kinds of statements, where managers have been taught to use positive feedback as a preface to negative feedback. This practice of preceding a discussion of the real person or the real reason for meeting with a compliment is so common that many people simply wait for the other shoe to drop. If you go into the boss's office and you're getting compliment, you can kind of, okay, there's some shit gonna jump off here. I feel it coming, right? While receiving genuinely positive feedback about job performance is vitally important, using compliments as a technique to soften the blow of negative feedback can be destructive. I refer to this practice as bonding with people before giving them the axe. "Jane, you've been a valued, employee here for 25 years. Your work has been stellar, blah, 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 but we're having to downsize, and you're the one getting the heave ho." It often creates a sense of betrayal instead of support. So here are several variations thereof. The yes, but. Frequently, we agree with someone and in the same breath disagree by raising an objection. We throw out a quick yes as a brief acknowledgement, then rush on to disprove what has been said. And interestingly, in groups, like when they put together a work team, there's often one person who takes on this role. They're kind of, and they'll say things like, well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, blah, blah, blah. And they shoot holes in everything that came before it. There's better ways to deal with that. Offer an alternative solution. I wonder if X might be a better way to go than Y. Let's talk about that. Get the conversation going. But the yes, but typically means no. Yes, but equals no. Okay. Many of us have had the experience of inviting a friend to dinner and hearing on return in a pleased tone, "Yes, that sounds great. I'd love to come." Then the person pauses and continues into a changed voice. "But I have to prepare for a major meeting at work tomorrow, so I'd better not." When this happens, we are lifted up in expectation and then disappointed. Such a friend attempting to be polite is actually being unkind by being unclear. Flip it around. Even just flip it around. "Oh, I won't be able to do that because of X, but I'd really love to. Let's see what we can come up with for another date." Then you're not letting them down. You're not getting their hopes up and then shooting them down. And there actually some research on shame, that one of the easiest ways to provoke shame in another person is build them up, get them feeling really high, and then deliver the blow. That will drop someone into shame better than anything else. That might have been Brene Brown stuff. I'm not sure. But anyway, keep that in mind when you're trying to respond, because I know I do that. "Oh, that sounds so good, but I won't be able to because of blah, blah, blah." Good to review, right? Sorry, not sorry. Here's another one. All too often we tell another person we are sorry, but we do so in a manner that invalidates the apology. I have a friend who does that all the time. It's just part of her common language. You know, the people who do you know, and then once you hear it, you can't unhear it. It's like every other word. She always says, I'm sorry, but, and she's anything but sorry. No, claim your words, claim your words. So, sorry, not sorry can take several forms. Here are three of them. Sorry, blame. This form of sorry, not sorry starts with an apology followed by blame. Janet says, I feel hurt because you haven't called for a long time. Bob replies, I'm sorry. Have you been feeling insecure about our relationship lately? Bob has followed his apology with the suggestion that Janet's own security is the real problem, not owning anything about he hasn't called lately. 2, sorry, denial of intent. Here we indicate that we are sorry for having done or said something that was upsetting, and then follow the initial apology with a denial of having intended to do anything hurtful. We all do this one. We all do this one, right? This kind of apology implies that the other person misunderstood our motives. We commonly use phrases such as, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry you took it that way. Or I'm sorry you felt that way. In each case, we are only sorry that the other person was so inept as to misunderstand our honorable intentions. Politicians who have to backtrack after issuing a statement that has had negative ramifications often make such apologies by saying, I'm sorry if what I said offended this particular group or that group. Here, the person is apologizing in case something was offensive without ever acknowledging that something said actually was offensive. Third one is sorry excuse. Do this one all the time too. I'm going to have to practice these. We often say we are sorry and then give an excuse. I'm sorry. I was just so tired. I was crabby, or yes, whatever, right? As if the excuse should be grounds for a pardon. I'm sorry I hit you, but you pissed me off. No, 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 no. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. If our supervisor is concerned that our overdue report is holding up other team members from completing their project tasks, we might say, I'm sorry I haven't finished it yet, but I've been so busy with 3 other projects. We may also commit to making some personal changes and then come back to our therapist or partner with an apology attached to myriad reasons for why we were unable to follow through. The message is, I'm sorry, but it wasn't my fault. It is hard for people, for others to feel reassured or satisfied when we make an apology and then essentially erase it by describing the circumstances beyond our control. So what would be better there? I'm sorry. I didn't get it done. I said I was going to get it done and I didn't get it done. And I have 8,000 reasons why, but I didn't get it done. I am sorry. Own it. Own it. Then there may be discussion about, okay, so how are we going to get this done? You may then need, well, I had a meeting yesterday where I said, I'm uncomfortable. There's 2 other people on the meeting. I'm uncomfortable because I agreed to do X on this particular team. And now it looks like I'm being expected to do Y. I did not commit to doing Y. I was just very frank about, and both of them said the same thing. Yeah, I didn't agree to Y. I agreed to X. So now together we can address, how did we go from what we agreed to this whole behemoth thing that none of us has the time to do? None of us, right? It's because I care. It's not my intention to. Have the real conversation. I understand that you're saying this because you feel like it's a way to indicate that you care. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. Let's see what we can come up with that would work better and still accomplish what you're trying to accomplish here. Put it out there. And some of us will say, well, I'd be afraid that she'd get mad at me. I'd be afraid I'd lose a friend. How great a friend is this? If this is the kind of dynamic you have going, how great a friend is this? Right here, right now, I believe is a perfect time to jettison some of the people who really are not our true friends. They're really not walking our path with us. They may be an anchor on the back of us, and we've had that anchor we're towing along for so long that we're just used to it. We put up with it, right? So going back to um, this excuse thing, oftentimes, so I'm going to just take the one and mess with it a little bit. I'm sorry I haven't finished the project yet, but I've been so busy with 3 other projects. I might say, well, that's explanation, but that's not excuse. So how are we going to get this thing done? What are our options here? We'll give it to someone else. Yep, that's an option. What else? Take one of the other 3 projects off my plate. Yep, that's an option. What else? Generate all the options. Jettison, you like jettison? Feel free to borrow. Generate all the options and then look at pros and cons and then make some decisions. But put the stuff on the table. Brene Brown talks about that as well. Like, we hold some cards close to our vest. We don't want anybody to see them as potential options. Like, let's say the person with the 3 projects loves those 3 projects, and the one that hasn't gotten done yet is the one they don't like and they don't want to do it, but it's been assigned to them and they're stuck with it. I think there's value in saying, I'm really enjoying these 3 projects I'm working on, and that's taken up my time. I'm not looking forward to that other one. I really don't want to do that one. So could we find someone else who would enjoy doing it and farm this out? Ask. It never hurts to ask, right? And again, those who work with us, including our bosses and our bosses' bosses, they've got all these dynamics going on as well. So don't expect it's always going to go well when you're really honest and direct about things, because they're doing the same stuff, right? So the next section is about attacking humor. And this is becoming more prevalent these days. Like, there's been tacit approval given for being this kind of nasty. All right. Several types of humor are common vehicles for contradictory passive-aggressive messages that often are not funny. First one is sarcasm. Sarcasm is perhaps the most prevalent form of covert attack in the guise of humor. When someone asks us for assistance on a very hectic day, we might respond in a sarcastic tone. Remind me to ask you for help sometime on the busiest day of your life. Or in a meeting at work, we might respond with a sneer by saying, how long does it take you to think, or how long did it take you to think that one up? Often, if we express sensitivity to a sarcastic remark someone else makes, or we ask for clarification, the person will say, I was just kidding, and pretending, remember that whole thing of JK, JK? All they used that for was to justify the shitty things they've said, right? And pretend that we're making a big deal out of nothing. Sarcasm is frequently inherently dishonest. So when the person says, I was just kidding, I think you can evenly, neutrally, as well as you're able, say, I don't think you were. And just let that sit there. Uncomfortably, just sit there. I don't think you were. Well, yeah. But what happens then is that when you are willing to call the sarcasm for what it is, and you're not willing to be dismissed with, oh, you're so sensitive. No, I think that was an inappropriate comment. That kind of behavior dries up quickly because they know you're going to call them on it. So then they're going to go pick on someone else, someone who won't stand up for themselves. Prejudiced jokes. Men and women from a variety of ethnic, religious, and professional groups report the painful effects of sabotaging joke telling. Under the cover of humor, blonde jokes, anybody? Yep. A person will disparage entire groups that listening friends are a part of. The joker then denies that this negation includes those present or that it should affect them. Samuel, a Jewish man, related how Tony, a coworker of his, would regularly come up to him, pat him on the back, smile warmly, and proceed to tell a joke that was insulting to Jewish people. If Samuel tried to object or suggest in any way that he didn't like the joke, Tony would laugh heartily and say, "Lighten up, it's just a joke." Or would say with a tone of slight irritation, "Don't get uptight. You know I don't mean anything by it." If Samuel didn't accept the joke, Tony would act increasingly irritated and make some comment about, "I'm just trying to be friendly," implying that he might stop being friendly if Samuel didn't accept his insulting jokes. Can you see the bind there that Samuel's in? Not fun. Not fun at all. When it's a team of men and there's one woman and they start in with the comments. "Well, here, you want me to explain that to you?" "No, I got it. I understand completely." Yeah. All the things, right? All the things. Watch for it. Watch for it. And again, once you begin to see it and hear it, you can't unsee it and unhear it. I remember a point in time in college where I was in a women's studies class, and many of the women who were in the class, interestingly, no men took it. Many of the women who were in the class were probably 20 years older or more than a group of us who were younger women. And I remember thinking to myself, I mean, they were angry. They were angry about how they had been treated in life. And I remember being kind of confused, like, this doesn't happen to me. I don't know. I couldn't see it. My perspectacles were cloudy. I couldn't see it. It wasn't in front of me in a way my denial wouldn't allow me to see it. It was there. It was happening. Absolutely, it was happening. The professor, when I worked in the department, who said, "Let's push the chairs together and make a baby." Yeah, it happened all the time, that kind of crap. But because the denial was in place, you got to go along to get along. You want this job in the department? It was a work study job. You want this job in the department? You go along to get along. So, yeah, very interesting stuff. And when we can stay with our rejection of that kind of behavior, I don't find that funny. "Oh, lighten up, Bucky." That my family member, that would be the response. "Oh, lighten up, Bucky." Nope, this isn't about lightening up. This is about calling out you on your prejudice. And it wouldn't go well. That person would escalate. I know. I don't care. I really don't care. And probably would steer clear of me for a chunk of time. So be it. Um, but somewhere here, we must change this. We must make it clear again that this kind of stuff is not acceptable. Not acceptable. And when we do it, catching it, or if someone calls it to our attention, owning it, apologizing, not making excuses, working on removing whatever it is from our languaging. Okay? So here's the last little chunk of this section. Passive aggressive personality type. Sarcasm or prejudiced humor can be quite aggressive and may not seem to fit into the category of surrender. In each case, however, people who use this defensive mode do not feel comfortable or safe enough to express their true feelings directly. They therefore choose a covert form of aggression that enables them to deny any bad intent if questioned about what they said. People who use this defensive mode are referred to as having a passive aggressive personality type. When we use any of the formats for surrender sabotage, we act like prisoners of war, hiding our hostility in order to survive. We surrender, but we don't really give up. As we have seen, surrender sabotage, unlike surrender betray, has an aggressive component. While it may be quite subtle, such behavior can be very hurtful. Although the covert part of the message is usually denied, it can frequently be more blatant and harsh sounding than a direct statement of our concerns would be. So there's your answer for what do I do instead? Yes, almost lost your job for calling out a boss on inappropriate comments. Many of us deal with this or have dealt with this. It continues, it's going on, absolutely. And in some cases, and it should not have to be this way, right? How do we protect ourselves yet still call this stuff out? That's what HR is supposed to be for. Doesn't always work. Doesn't always work. Oftentimes, companies are so small, they don't even have HR, right? So, things to be addressed. Things to be addressed. Direct statement of concerns. That would be an appropriate way for us to go. Again, we're weighing that against this person has the ability to fire me. That to me would be the sign I need to be looking for a different job now. Yeah. Even when we successfully sabotage another, we usually still feel trapped because we are unable to deal with the other person clearly and directly. While the function of our sabotage is to undermine, it is we who are behaving in incompetent and divisive ways, whether we fail to accomplish assigned tasks or sarcastically attack another person. Using this defensive mode, we may become bitter, harboring deep-seated resentments of other people's expectations and control over us. Eventually, we undermine ourselves far more successfully than we undermine anyone else. Because this is the kind of behavior that keeps us from getting promoted. It's the kind of behavior that incites division in the ranks. It doesn't serve anybody. It really doesn't serve anybody. Sensitive about jokes about growing up in the UP. Yes. And with much of this stuff, I will say our next rounds are going to be the withdrawal piece. So that's the flight section. That's what we'll be dealing with over the next couple of days. We really need to be looking at what's underneath that. I will tell you, when I moved to the UP, I had heard all of the jokes and, people living with dirt floors and blah, blah, blah. When I got there, I found myself a group of individuals who were deeply spiritual, deeply educated, well-read, thoughtful, planful people that blew all of that stuff. That was we don't question those kinds of, well, these people are, or those people believe, or we don't really question that stuff until we're around people who belong to that particular maligned group. Then we start going, well, wait a minute. I know Gwen. She's highly educated. She's well-read. She's very spiritual, but that doesn't fit at all with what I heard. Then we have to start dismantling some of the crap that we've learned, right? So, and it's uncomfortable to do that, but please view those as opportunities. If someone calls you out on something you've said, please view that as an opportunity, because in that opportunity, or viewing it as one, you're far less likely to get defensive. I got to think about that. I wonder why I believe that. Where did that come from? And what feeds it? What keeps it going? Be willing to self-examine. Be willing to do that deep dive. This one got really long. We're pushing 40 minutes here, but this is such good stuff. And it's so important for us to be able to eradicate this stuff from our repertoire. Okay. So have an awesome Wednesday, y'all. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you are capable of far more than you think you are, including taking a good, solid look at this stuff and seeing where it might fit for you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.